This week in South Florida, pensions and public employees. Counties and cities across the state and nation are struggling to meet their pension obligations. The city of Hollywood says it can't, and it's holding a special referendum election asking voters to cut city pensions rather than having to lay off city workers. Hollywood's unions say it's unfair. We'll hear from both sides. Plus, school doors opened this week, and some students in honors and AP classes found themselves in a crowd. Too many students, too few desks and books. We'll have a report. Stories people are talking about this week in South Florida. Good morning. Whether you are retired now or soon will be, you would certainly like to have a pension. Well, who wouldn't? But most private companies long ago got rid of their traditional pension plans. Public employees, however, still get them in a big way. The city of Hollywood is one of the cities that has offered its employees a generous pension plan. But now the city says the plan is too generous and it won't be able to meet its financial obligations or balance its budget if the pension formula doesn't change and benefits are reduced. The city wants to raise the retirement age for eligibility and reduce what is called the multiplier, the denominator used to figure pension benefits. It would also drop the cost of living allowances and the drop plan. Under the Hollywood City Code, these changes in pension benefits have to be approved by voters if the city and its unions cannot reach an agreement, and they could not. So on Tuesday, September 13th, Hollywood voters will be asked to say yay or nay to these proposed pension changes. If approved, they will save the city an estimated $8.5 million. If they are not approved, the city says it may have to lay off about 150 employees. The city's police, fire, and general employees say Hollywood is in such lousy financial shape because of past mismanagement, and they are the ones who are being asked to pay for it. The same debate is taking place in cities throughout South Florida, particularly the ones that are not part of the state retirement system. But our focus this morning is on the city of Hollywood. Let's meet our guests. They are Mayor Peter Bober. He was elected mayor in 2008 after serving as a city commissioner. He is an attorney. Jeff Morano is Senior Vice President with the Police Benevolent Association of Broward. He is a 30-year veteran of the Hollywood Police Department. To both of you gentlemen, thanks for coming in on a holiday weekend, but we want to get this discussion out there before the voters of Hollywood vote. So, Mr. Mayor, let's start with some basics. Why are Hollywood voters being asked to change the way the city provides pensions?
Well, as you may recall, I was here about 4 years ago, right before the election when I was elected mayor, and I made a promise on your show about changing the system and trying to live within our means. These pension changes are going to be voted on by city residents because under our laws, either the pension changes take effect by the union ratifying them, or if they will not ratify them, it goes out to the public. So the public gets to weigh in on this. Right.
And last year, Jeff Sperano, in fact, the police union, the fire union, general employees all did agree to some changes to cut back a little bit and reduce benefits. Why are these proposed changes unacceptable?
Well, first of all, this would be the worst pension plan in the state of Florida, the way that these cuts are going. These cuts are so deep that the city will be forfeiting $2.5 million in state funds that it is now currently getting. And we just... The one that we did ratify, we took a 5% cut, and then several months later, they played the financial urgency card again and hit us with a 12.5% cut. Yeah. So collectively, right now, the employees are faced with a 17.5% cut in pay and benefits.
Well, these are difficult times, and just to put a little perspective on it, the city of Miami, for the second year in a row, also declared financial urgency. So Hollywood is not an exception. This is going on in other places. Mayor Bober, what kind of pension reductions are we talking about? I outlined a few at the very beginning, but tell us about what are the pension reductions that you're asking voters to approve on September 13th?
Sure. Well, this is not a reflection on our employees. We value the job that they're doing. Many of them are doing very dangerous jobs. But we're in a recession, just like most of the entire country. We're looking at changes that I think that when the residents understand these changes, they'll think that they're entirely reasonable. Right now, We have some employees who are retiring in the city of Hollywood at age 45 with a $100,000 a year pension for the rest of their lives. Yeah. That's not sustainable. So,
right. Can I stop? Excuse me. That is exactly the issue, I think, that drives a lot of people crazy. But that's the result of policies that have been in effect for many years that maybe should never have been put in effect.
Well, right now what we're talking about doing is raise, among the other changes that we're making, we're talking about raising the retirement age. Right now, instead of 45, we're talking about raising it to 52 for public safety and 60 for general employees. I don't think that our residents, and I think that residents really as a civic responsibility need to come out and vote for these, are going to find that unreasonable. Changing the multiplier, which now can range from 2.5% to 4%, changing it to 2.5% to 2.5%, 2% to 2.5%. So these changes, taking out overtime and vacation pay for being calculated as part of your pension, these are not changes that residents are going to have a problem with.
All right, Mr. Sperano, let me ask you, these do sound on their face somewhat reasonable. Why, from your point of view, are they not?
Well, the legislature has already done this. Senate Bill 1128 was already done and passed by the legislature by Senator Ring, who worked very, very hard.
Jeremy Ring.
Yes, his whole staff worked very, very hard. So there is no more cash payouts. There is no more 45-year-olds retiring with $100,000, and those are probably people that the PBA doesn't even represent. Now, if you want to talk about the city attorney, Dan Abbott, who did 13 years with the city and left with a $72,000 pension, that I think is unreasonable. Now you want to compare the private sector and the public sector, that's a perfect example. Is the city attorney. This current city attorney is in a defined benefit plan, and his package is $285,000, Jeff Scheffel.
Wow. That's a lot of money. Forgive me, I mispronounced your name. I know it is Morano, so forgive me. I'm thinking of the coach, I guess.
Good.
Maybe you remind me of the coach. Let me ask you to correct something. In a little promotion, I think, in our 10 o'clock news hour, I was asked, does this affect all current employees or only new employees? Set the record straight. Who does it affect?
This affects current employees right now. When the clock strikes 12 on that date, and if these changes are made, it'll change the plan for people that are on the threshold of retirement, something that they worked for, planned for, and paid for. 9.25% of their pay goes towards their pension.
All right. Well, Mr. Mayor, that does seem a little unreasonable, like you're changing the rules while the game is going on.
Well, I totally disagree with that. For one thing, anyone who has vested rights are going to continue with those vested rights. Any employee that has earned a pension in the past, they will get those benefits. But not as much of a benefit. We have to change the pension plan. The pension plan is not sustainable. Over the last 8 years, our pension costs have gone up 320%. Cool. I mean, that is just enormous. And look at the revenue hits that our city, other cities are taking across the country. You cannot have a drop in revenue as drastic as we are having and continue to pretend that
something's got to give. There's no question. Well, one of the things that may give, and here is a flyer that arrived at the home of one of our Local 10 employees, and if you can see, it says, "You can save our Hollywood Police Department. Vote no to BSO takeover." This seems to be a subtext of this election, one of the subtexts, and that is that if voters don't approve this, that the Broward Sheriff's Office is going to come in and take over the department. Jeff, is that a reality?
That's a grave concern of our membership. Is that things are going to be so bad, the pay is so low, the pension is so horrible, that it would be prime for a takeover by the Broward Sheriff's Office.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, for one thing, I've seen this flyer. It's really a bunch of baloney. I think it's a scare tactic. Why would we be working so hard to try and save this current pension system if we just wanted to outsource it to BSO? It's absurd. Secondly, the fire union actually wrote me a letter requesting that we contact BSO and have them look at maybe taking over the department. And lastly, it's ridiculous to even suggest that we're going to go to BSO without even knowing what we save. Is there a savings? Even if there is a savings, are the savings justified in making that kind of move?
So this is a scare tactic. Is that what you're saying?
Right,
that this is not a reality?
It's framing the debate the way they want it framed, and we have no member of the City Commission, nor I or anyone else, has ever said we are going to have a BSO takeover. We don't know anything about the savings. All we have done is ask for the sheriff's office to provide what might the savings be, and we still don't know the answer.
All right. Well, this was published by a political action committee called Friends of Hollywood Police. It's a PAC, and I guess it was formed by the Hollywood Police Department of the PBA. This is part of that PAC's work, is it not?
That's correct.
All right. Well, Jeff, let me ask you: wasteful spending, pork projects. Some of those accusations, given what's happened in the past in the city of Hollywood, may have more credibility. Give us a couple of examples of what you believe are wasteful spending or pork projects.
Well, ironically enough, when we go out and doing a grassroots campaign, you can't even get to the debate of the pension or non-pension. All you can get to is the Wi-Fi that doesn't work for $13 million, the water tower for $680,000, the fire station on the beach where there's one that's a mile and a half away for $7.2 million that the mayor voted against. All these other other projects, $2.2 million to litigate the financial urgency. That's a lot of money to farm out to lawyers when you have staff.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Let me just respond to that. I deny vehemently that we have mismanaged or wasted taxpayer dollars. I think in the last 4 years that I've been mayor, we've actually been out of the headlines for the reasons we were in the headlines prior to me being elected mayor. Secondly, if you take Jeff's logic to its logical conclusion, he's basically saying you were fiscally irresponsible in the past, so you should continue to be fiscally irresponsible. That makes no sense. Yeah. We have got to make changes. You cannot continue to do business exactly the same way.
All right. Well, we realize that what is happening today is the result of policies over many years, but it was only a couple of months ago when your then city manager sort of appeared before you and the city commission and said, you know, we're not in such really good financial shape. In fact, we're going to have a $38 million budget gap. And to you and I guess a lot of commissioners, you said, what the heck is going on? Why is this? I mean, there was an element of surprise when the former city manager told you all that there was a financial crisis, wasn't there?
Well, I don't think it's not a revelation to anyone in our city or other cities that we're in a recession right now, that all cities across the country are taking a hit. The issue that you're referring to is where in the middle of our budget year, our city manager identified that we were $10 million in a deficit position, and that was unacceptable to me, and the city manager is no longer with the city.
That's true. All right, in the 40 seconds left, I need to ask you, if this does not pass, and there are all kinds of choices that are available. Hollywood voters could say, all right, we're going to say no to changing pensions, police and fire, but we'll say yes to changing general employees. What is the worst case scenario? Are police officers, city employees, firefighters going to be laid off if this doesn't pass?
Well, I just need to strongly urge every Hollywood resident that's watching, or if they know Hollywood residents, it is a civic responsibility to get out and vote in this election because our fiscal solvency is on the line. Yeah. If this does not pass, we will be faced with very serious options, including potentially a tax increase for residents. That is definitely on the table. Yeah. Layoffs of police officers, public safety, other employees, and worst of all, even more deeper salary cuts to the employees that we're trying to keep.
And Jeff Morano, you obviously would say don't approve these proposed changes.
Absolutely. We would say that certainly, as the public is saying, there are other alternatives. This CRA, this cash flow in the CRAs that they continue to sit on, there are other alternatives than to just gut to the pensions and continuing to cut police services.
All right. We are out of time. Gentlemen, thank you. We will be following this closely between now and Election Day, September 13th. Thanks for coming in. All right, so to come, kids went back to school this week, and some of them found themselves in very large and unmanageable classes. We will explain why next.
Ladies, I got this. Abby put the cat in cat burglar.
That's my girl.
Hello, angels.
Hello, Charlie. Bosley, Adult Swim is over.
Excuse me, duty calls.
Okay, ladies, time to fly.
ABC's Charlie's Angels, Thursdays this fall on ABC.
Daddy! How was your day?
He hit me! You got it, did you? Look at it! Yes, you did! Yes,
All units 315.
just a normal day, sweetheart.
Nissan's bottom line sales event has been extended. With better availability than Honda or Toyota, you save. Get an additional $500 holiday bonus cash on popular models like Altima, $179 plus bonus cash. Visit ChooseNissan.com. Test drive at your local Nissan dealer today. More cars, bonus cash, more savings. Hurry, and September 5th.
There is a place where more parents entrust their children's care than any other in Florida. A place where critical care results rank among the best in the nation. Miami Children's Hospital is proud to be the only hospital in Florida nationally ranked in all 10 pediatric subspecialties, surveyed by U.S. News and World Report. There is a place right here for our children. This is the place. Miami Children's Hospital. You want the best for your children.
Yep, 2011 was a very good year for Chevy. But all good things must come to an end. So hurry into the final days of the Chevy model year wrap-up before this model year, well, wraps up for good. Just announced, celebrate Labor Day with an additional $500 bonus cash. With all other offers, including the All-Star Edition discount, that's a total value of $6,500. Our greatest model year yet is wrapping up.
This is the first school year since Florida lawmakers lifted the caps on class size for subjects other than the basics, subjects like math and English. As Glenna Milberg tells us, though, it is making teaching and learning for some much, much tougher.
One period balloons and other periods are low. So the process is called leveling.
At the home of the high tides, the principal is swimming in paper.
So I sat here all weekend with the calculator, totaling it up.
Calculating how to undo classrooms with 40, even 50 students, like the one where the teacher put computers on the floor to make room for the kids.
You will not see those numbers that you see the first week.
We get that assurance as South Florida school districts start a year with thousands more students. Many are transfers from private schools in tough economic times, and no more caps on classes for non-core classes.
When I came in and I saw that there was 60 kids in one class.
53 in my stagecraft class.
I started with 52. I sent a complaint email. The next day I had 54.
Nadia Zananiri, on her 8th year, loving to teach at Beach High, places the blame squarely on Florida lawmakers who first cut state education funding and then lifted class caps to give districts with less money more flexibility.
There is a way, even given the budget shortfalls and everything else, to be able to adequately place your students in the right environment.
Miami State Rep Eric Fresson was one who argued on the House floor that class size should be governed by common sense, not hard caps. Add to that a yearly ritual of accommodating students who don't register until the first day.
In terms of the students, it's a surprise. You don't know until your first week of school who will actually materialize.
Miami Beach High School has more than 2,400 students and some staff that already does double duty.
So you're tasked with trying to make sure that you meet every student's needs with the resources that are available.
Is that doable?
Yes, it's doable.
School districts must march in lockstep to legislative mandates. The most recent, 8% fewer dollars and freedom to pack classrooms. The principal's message to parents?
You need to make your concerns heard where the money comes from, which is Tallahassee. We're given what we're given.
We met nobody in this district that wants to or plans to pack the classes. In fact, the district policy is to get from 30 to 34 students per class. And it's important to note that for the core classes, the basic classes, that state mandated cap of 25 still remains. Michael, the district hopes to have all of those classes leveled out, all the students in place permanently by the beginning of this week.
Glenna, thanks very much. Up next, we will open the mail.
This is the beginning of a new era.
This is where dreams are born.
This is the heart of our city. Our team.
Our town.
This is the new Miami Marlins ballpark. The coolest.
The coolest.
The coolest ballpark ever. Are you in?
There's luxury that lulls. And there's luxury that thrills. Infiniti Inspired Performance. Visit the Infiniti Limited Engagement Summer Event. Our inventory selection is outstanding. The best offers of the season are now available. Lease an Infiniti G25 sedan for $319 per month or get 1.9% APR on all 2011 models.
When it comes to energy consumption, we're all different. That's why the FPL Online Home Energy Survey was designed with you in mind. Energy powers our lives in so many different ways, whether we use it a little or a lot. The FPL Online Home Energy Survey helps you find ways to save money with a personalized plan that provides energy-saving tips and recommendations for FPL programs and incentives, all based on your unique patterns of energy use. Visit FPL.com/myplan and take the survey today.
Spencer? All right.
Mary's been teaching first grade for about 13 years.
We go through supplies pretty quickly in here.
Paint, pencils, hamsters.
I buy a lot of the extras myself, which makes saving pretty hard.
So we showed her how Wells Fargo's Way to Save savings account could help. When she swipes her debit card to make a purchase,
$1 gets transferred from my checking account to my Way to Save account.
making saving easy and automatic.
Spencer, have you been eating paste? Why can't you open your mouth?
Wells Fargo, with you when it's time to save.
Patience has its place. But when you're looking for a new crossover and find one with exceptional fuel economy and exceptional features, patience can wait.
It's the final days of the Lincoln Summer Exclusive Sales Event. Come in to enjoy limited time offers on Lincoln MKX, plus 4 years complimentary maintenance.
It's not just luxury, it's smarter than that.
And now for the mail, we heard from Robert Suarez, president of the Miami Firefighters Union, about our story here last week on City of Miami salaries over $100,000. He wrote to say, I am angered to see the misinformation that is being disseminated by the mayor regarding the hard-working men and women that serve our citizens. What he failed to mention was that the figures you are quoting in your story are salaries our union workers got before the serious salary cuts we received last year. We also heard from Jim Delgazo on our interview with reinstated Miami Commissioner Michelle Spence-Jones. He wrote to say, could Michelle Spence-Jones have been any more evasive? She was pathetic with all that out-of-the-loop stuff. All right, still to come, my personal perspective about a big anniversary mine.
I've got to be busy with activities.
I've got to be improving my game.
I've got to be exercising my options.
I've got to be at happy hour.
Now you too can enjoy the good life at Forest Trace, because we've lowered prices on select apartments from just $19.25 per month.
I've got to be in my own space.
Weekly housekeeping, fine dining, and top entertainment. It's all included in your rent. Call today and ask about our new lower prices.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, what do you got in this thing?
16 valve, 2.4 liter engine, 200 horsepower. Air conditioning.
32 valve, 3.5 liter engine, 650 horsepower, air conditioning.
You could start an IZOD IndyCar race with Mario Andretti. Go to shophonda.com to enter and check out the all-new Civic, the official vehicle of IndyCar.
City Furniture's Labor Day sale is the perfect time to save on everything for your home. Enjoy irresistible prices on sectionals and bonded leather motion sofas. A complete bedroom, including queen bed, dresser, mirror, nightstand, and media chest, only $7.99. Plus, enjoy no interest till 2013. Don't miss the savings event of the year at City Furniture's Labor Day sale.
Disney on Ice, 100 years of magic. It's the celebration of the century. 18 classic stories, 24 unforgettable songs, and more than 60 Disney characters in one spectacular ice show. Come celebrate the magic of Disney.
The magic begins at $18. Coming to South Florida September 15th through 25th.
Nissan's bottom line sales event has been extended. With better availability than Honda or Toyota, you save. Get an additional $500 holiday bonus cash on popular models like Altima, $179 plus bonus cash. Visit ChooseNissan.com. Test drive at your local Nissan dealer today. More cars, bonus cash, more savings. Hurry, and September 5th.
Before we leave you this morning, a personal perspective, and this time it really is personal. 30 years ago tomorrow, I began my career in South Florida as a television reporter, and what a rocky start it was. I was so nervous, almost threw up before I went on the air at the old WTVJ Channel 4. I was hired there by the legendary Ralph Rennick, bless his heart. He was willing to give a Miami Herald reporter a chance to try his hand at TV. That first broadcast remains vivid in my mind. The station had just finished the Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon, and I came on and said, I would rather have a frontal lobotomy than watch Jerry Lewis sing "You'll Never Walk Alone" one more time. Well, the phones lit up and virtually every caller said, get that idiot off the air. Well, Ralph Rennick didn't, and I've been on the air ever since for the past 22 years here at Channel 10. I've covered everything from the Liberty City riots to elections and coup attempts in Haiti, the Pope's trip to Cuba, and of course, all kinds of political stories, debates, elections. I've been so lucky to live and work in this great community. So this morning, I want to thank the people here at Channel 10 who have encouraged and supported my reporting, and I want to especially thank the people of South Florida for the privilege of coming into your homes for the last 30 years. What an honor it has been, and if you don't mind, I'll continue doing it for some time to come through the 2012 election, maybe beyond. So thank you all so much. That is my perspective for this week. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Remember, stay informed, get involved,